We have all been there. You are driving past those golden arches, and the smell of salty fries hits you. It is comforting. It is convenient. But have you ever wondered what would physically happen to the architecture of your insides if you said yes to that urge every single day? We are not talking about just gaining a few pounds that you see in the mirror. We are talking about a specific hidden type of change that happens deep beneath your abdominal muscles. It is a biological mechanism that turns a simple burger into a dangerous neighbor for your liver and pancreas. Today, we are going to look past the calories and understand exactly how consistent fast food consumption rewires where your body stores energy and why that location matters more than the number on the scale. Let's start with a thought experiment. Imagine you buy a brand new car. It runs perfectly. Now, imagine that instead of premium fuel, you start using a mixture that is mostly sugar and sludge. At first, the car runs fine. You might not notice anything different for a few miles. But inside the engine, residue is building up on the pistons. This is exactly what happens when we look at the McDonald's diet scenario. When we talk about weight gain, we usually think about the fat we can pinch. You grab your arm or your stomach, and you feel a soft layer. That is called subcutaneous fat. It sits right under your skin. Think of subcutaneous fat like a heavy winter coat. It might make you look bigger, and it might be heavy to carry around, but it is generally just sitting there, keeping you warm and storing energy for later. It is relatively harmless in moderate amounts. But there is another character in this story, a much more sneaky one. It is called visceral fat. This fat does not hang out under your skin. It hides deep inside your torso, wrapping itself around your vital organs like your liver, your pancreas, and your intestines. If subcutaneous fat is a winter coat, visceral fat is like packing peanuts stuffed so tightly into a box that the items inside, your organs, cannot function properly. The question is, does eating fast food specifically target this dangerous area? And if so, how does a French fry end up strangling your liver? To understand this, we have to stop looking at food as just fuel and start looking at it as information that tells your hormones what to do. To understand why fast food builds visceral fat, we have to look at how the body handles a surplus of energy. Imagine your body is a busy warehouse. Food comes in, and the workers, your metabolism, have to sort it. Proteins are used for repairs, like building materials. Carbs and fats are energy. When you eat a standard meal, the warehouse runs smoothly. But a typical fast food meal is different. It is extremely calorie-dense. A single meal with a burger, large fries, and a soda can easily hit 100-200 calories. That is like a delivery truck backing up and dumping thousands of boxes onto the warehouse floor all at once. The workers in your body cannot process all that energy instantly. They have to store it. First, they fill up the glycogen stores in your muscles and liver. Think of these like the shelves in the warehouse, but those shelves are small. Once they are full, the body has to convert the excess energy into fat cells. Now, here is where the quality of the food matters. Fast food is typically high in refined carbohydrates, the bun, sugar, the soda and ketchup, and saturated or trans fats, the patty and oil. When you flood your system with that much sugar and refined carbs, your blood sugar spikes dramatically. It is like a fire alarm going off. Your pancreas responds by flooding your blood with insulin. Insulin is the warehouse manager. Its job is to get that sugar out of the blood and into the cells. But when you eat this way every day, the cells get annoyed. They are full. They stop listening to the insulin. This is called insulin resistance. It is like the workers locking the doors because the warehouse is full. So, the insulin has nowhere to put the energy. The manager is panicking. Since the muscles won't take it, the body takes the path of least resistance. It starts shoving that energy into fat cells in the abdominal cavity right near the liver. Why there? Because the liver is the first stop for blood coming from the digestion system. When the liver is overwhelmed by sugar, specifically fructose from the soda, it converts it directly into fat. This new fat doesn't travel to your arms or legs. It stays right there, piling up around the liver and intestines. This is the birth of visceral fat. It is not just about eating too much, it is about eating food that breaks the signaling system, forcing the body to store fat in the worst possible place. Now that we understand the mechanism, let's look at how this plays out in reality. We don't have to guess because science has observed this. You might have heard of the documentary Super Size Me. where a man ate nothing but McDonald's for 30 days. While that is an extreme example, the medical data he generated is a perfect case study for our topic. Before he started, his liver was healthy. By the end of the month, his liver had turned into what doctors compare to foie gras, or fatty liver. Let's break that down. Foie gras is made by overfeeding ducks until their livers swell up with fat. In humans, we call this non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. When you eat fast food daily, you are essentially doing this to yourself. The combination of high fructose corn syrup in the soda and the seed oils in the fries creates a perfect storm. The fructose bypasses your body's satiety signals. It doesn't tell your brain, "I'm full," the way protein does. So you keep eating. But there is another layer to this story. Inflammation. Fast food is often cooked in vegetable oils that are high in omega-6 fatty acids. In small amounts, these are fine. In the massive amounts found in daily fried food, they can promote inflammation. Think of inflammation like a low-level fire burning in your tissues. When your body is inflamed, it releases a stress hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is an evolutionary survival mechanism. Back when we were hunter-gatherers, a spike in cortisol meant we were in danger or famine was coming. So what does cortisol do? It tells the body, save energy, store fat, and put it right in the middle so I can access it quickly. That middle area is your visceral fat. So, by eating fast food, you are hitting your body with a double whammy. Insulin acts like a construction crew building fat cells, and the inflammation cortisol response acts like the architect directing that construction specifically to your belly. It is a precise recipe for visceral fat accumulation. We also see changes in the gut microbiome. A professor of genetic epidemiology, Tim Spector, had his son eat fast food for 10 days. They found that his gut bacteria diversity, the rainforest of good bacteria in his stomach, was decimated by 40%. The bacteria that help keep us lean died off, and the bacteria that love sugar and inflammation took over. These bad bacteria actually encourage your body to store more fat. So, we have established that daily fast food creates a surplus of energy, triggers insulin resistance, damages the liver, and encourages the body to pack fat around your organs. But why should you care? Why is visceral fat worse than the fat on your thighs? This is the most critical part to understand. Subcutaneous fat, the pinchable kind, is metabolically quiet. It sits there and waits to be used. Visceral fat, however, is active. It is biologically alive. It acts like an extra organ that you didn't ask for and definitely don't want. This fat tissue produces its own hormones and inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. Imagine you have a calm, quiet neighbor. That is subcutaneous fat. Now imagine you have a neighbor who plays drums at 3 a.m., throws trash on your lawn, and screams at the mailman. That is visceral fat. It screams chemical signals at your body 24/7. These chemicals travel directly to your liver and interfere with how your body manages cholesterol and breaks down toxins. This creates a vicious cycle. The more visceral fat you have, the more inflammation you create, which leads to more insulin resistance, which leads to even more visceral fat. It is a feedback loop that leads to type 2 diabetes and heart disease. But here is the good news. The body is incredibly resilient. Because visceral fat is so metabolically active, it is also the first fat to disappear when you change your behavior. It is easy come, easy go. If you stop the influx of liquid sugar and processed carbs, the warehouse clears out. The liver heals. The insulin sensitivity returns. The takeaway here isn't just that fast food makes you fat. It is that food is a set of instructions. When you eat a balanced meal with fiber and protein, you are sending your body a blueprint for health and maintenance. When you eat highly processed fast food every day, you are sending a blueprint for emergency storage and inflammation. The universe of your body is constantly rebuilding itself based on the materials you provide. You are the architect. So next time you smell those fries, remember, it's not just about the calories. It's about keeping the packing peanuts away from your vital organs so your biological machinery can run smooth and silent. If this content helped you better understand what happens inside your body, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Stay curious and take care of your internal warehouse.